Welcome to the Doctor Who 1960s retrospective, exploring episodes from 1965 to 1967. Sit back on a journey of the past, fasten your seatbelts as we visit the past and adventures in the classic BBC long-running science fiction series of Doctor Who.
Hello and welcome to the Literary License podcast. Tonight we are reviewing the 4 episodes, 3rd to the 24th of July 1965, The Time Meddler, starring Peter Butterworth as the meddling monk, yes, and William Hartnell as Doctor Who. I'm joined by myself and Craig Johnson and with my good friend David Grant. Hello, David.
Hello there.
How are you? What have you been up to lately?
Well, I've been sort of just, keeping myself busy, doing the open mics.
That's at the Old White Line in East Finchley. The Old White Line in East Finchley. That's on a Thursday night around 7:30 till about 10 o'clock.
And also, we did the Anything But the Blues, which is down in Soho, just off Carnaby Street, so where Jimi Hendrix used to play, and the Stones, and yeah, it was quite interesting. It was all blues, so we had to sort of just play blues music. But I went down and did a sort of couple of old sort of like in lead belly number, and they're all blues purists down there, so it was interesting. Cool.
Yeah. And you took part in East Finchley's Got Talent, I heard, and you got a certificate, didn't you?
Yeah, so it looks like it's might be getting processed.
Wow. And you've on your application for Britain's Got Talent was successful.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting.
So that's going to be a sort of like a latter life sort of like accomplishment.
And you've got an art exhibition coming up, haven't you?
Yep. The Muswell Hill Health Club, which is in Muswell Hill, obviously. And that's going to be on the 12th. And I'm going to
12th of December.
Yeah. And display a couple of numbers. Couple of sort of photographs and some drawings.
Is that free entry?
Free entry,
right? Okay.
And you have one coming up also in January, don't you?
March. Okay. Until March. I've put it on the back burner. I'm going to get Christmas out of the way and then get my head round the art world again.
Yes. So yeah, this we watched the sort of the Doctor Who. It's the old black and white again, and of course William Hartnell, classic Doctor Who. Probably my favourite next to Tom Baker, But the meddling monk, the guy who actually plays him was Peter Butterworth, who was actually probably more known for Carry On
and movies. a Les Dawson impersonation.
yeah, he looks a bit like a Les, a very early. Maybe he was like an incarnation of the sort of Les Dawson as Doctor Who, incarnated in the 60s, who became Les Dawson. So it's kind of sort of like a bit of a sort of skip through time there,
And your YouTube channel is Acid Monk, isn't it? If anyone wants to check out your guitar,
that's right.
And what's your Instagram?
My Instagram's Devo Grant
at Devo Grant.
Yeah, at Devo Grant, and that's the one that you set up for me, which is really good. The Acid Monk one, I'm sort of like starting that one off again, Craig's been doing some recordings, and I'm going to try and get some more when we get better weather, unless we do a sort of a Christmas one.
And some of your artwork is on craigsworld.org. You can get some of the merchandise, cups, stickers, teas, hoodies, tote bags, drinking bottles.
Joss sticks.
So that's at craigsworld.org. Yes. For myself, I had the flu, so that's why the cast was postponed last week, because I was so sick and I couldn't even make it to Comic-Con. I was supposed to go to Comic-Con with Mario and meet Sophie Aldred, but I was just too sick, and I just couldn't do anything apart from sleep. It was like a viral flu infection I had.
Just knocks you out.
It was not nice, and
no. The thing is, it's the last place you want to be in, is crowded company with loads of people,
I think it's because of the tube trains and everyone's mingling again, and the weather change. It's 1 minute it's warm and then it's cold.
Or maybe we've had some flu viruses coming over on the Eurostar. I saw them walking down the street with little Oyster cards, with the bed bugs. Yeah,
That's it. Blame France.
yeah, blame France.
Okay. So,
Again.
yeah, just if you want to check out my stuff, it's at craigsworld.org. And my Etsy store is craigsworld2. My Instagram is craigsworld2 as well, so check that out. Also, I'm a part of the Whovian podcast on Facebook.
Yeah.
So the Facebook page, if you want to join, it's the Whovians podcast.
That's
So
right.
just have a search on there, and there's loads of cool things and news and tidbits and stuff from there.
And we have Mario and sort of Ramona.
Mario and Ramona send their apologies; they can't make it this tonight. But Mario did go to Comic-Con. He met Sophie Aldred.
Wow.
And he is also arranging a new Christmas podcast special edition, which will be the Narnia Chronicles, the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe from 1988. And that is going to star Mr. Tumnus. He's going to join us for an interview. So that's something to look forward to in a couple of weeks' time.
So it was originally C.S. Lewis, wasn't it?
Yeah, C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, because I mean, it was like it's a strange story.
And I put my Christmas decorations up as well.
Oh yeah, the tree's up now. We can see.
I've done it early. It makes me feel good, so I've put it up. And I love Christmas, so
there's something
any excuse.
There's something about Christmas. Some people. There was a guy I knew. He used to leave his tree up till March or April.
Wow.
Because he was such a Christmas freak. Kind of the say like you have to take it down after 12 days because it's if you follow the superstitions now it's supposed to be bad luck. The thing is, it looks great, I mean, I like
we can't get any more bad luck than we got already.
Yeah, with all the shit that's happening in the world. Yes, we're going through a very bad energy time, but hopefully we can raise the vibrations, and things will turn around. I mean, for every dark side of the coin, there's going to be a light side of the coin, right?
Peace and love. That's
right.
We need peace and love.
Imagine all the people living all the things, and all the words. Yeah, but this is a great. It's Peter Purves who was actually in Blue Peter. And he's sort of kind of looking a bit James Dean in this, these episodes.
He's very handsome.
Yeah, very sort of like a tall, dark, handsome stranger type guy.
Vicky's in her cloaks in this one, so she's looking good.
Looking like some kind
they're
of.
They're good. I like this combination that they're as a cis companion couple.
Right. So does he become the next companion with Vicky?
Yeah, he stows away. Right, I thought he was going to in the last adventure in the chase, and I was like, where does he come into things?
Where did you fit into?
And then it makes sense.
I mean,
so okay, so we're going to cut to the trailer, and we'll be right back.
This is a synopsis for Doctor Who: The Time Meddler, which aired from the 3rd of July to 24th of July, 1965. The first Doctor and Vicki and Stephen Taylor aboard the TARDIS after he stumbled in during a disoriented state of muchness. The TARDIS lands on a rocky beach, watched by a monk. It is soon spotted by a Saxon villager, Eldred, who runs to tell the headman of his village. The Doctor establishes a sentry from a discarded Viking helmet and heads off to the village. Steve and Vicki explore the cliffs above, witnessed by the monk. The Doctor encounters Edith, Wolnuff's wife, and convinces her that he is a harmless traveler while probing for more information. He discovers that it is 1066, since Harold Godwinson has not yet faced Harold Hardrada at the Battle of Stamford Bridge. At a nearby monastery, monks are heard chanting. Arriving at the monastery, the Doctor finds a gramophone playing the chant. He stops the gramophone and the monk traps him in a cell. Stephen and Vicki encounter Eldred and notice he has a wristwatch dropped by the monk. The next morning, they are ambushed by the Saxons and are taken to the village council. They convince Wolnuff that they are travelers and are given provisions to travel on. Vicki is heartened to hear from Edith that she encountered the Doctor on his way to the monastery. Stephen and Vicki visit the monastery, where the monk tries to dissuade them from entering but gives himself away by describing the Doctor too accurately. Stephen and Vicki break in after dark. A Viking attacks Edith, and the Saxons go hunting for the invaders. One is struck down while his companions, Sven and Elf, flee. Eldred is badly wounded and Walnut takes him to the monastery for help. While the monk is occupied with the Saxons, Stephen and Vicki find the gramophone. They discover that the doctor has escaped through a secret passage and returned to the village. The doctor heads back to the monastery and gains the upper hand when the monk answers the door. The doctor begins to question the monk. Sven and Elf ambush the doctor and the monk are overpowered, but the monk slips away during the confrontation. He tries to persuade the villagers to light beacon fires on the cliff tops, secretly wishing to lure the Vikings' fleet to land. Warner tells the monk that he agrees, but admits to Edith that he suspects danger. Stephen and Vicki return to the monastery and investigate the crypt, where a heavy power cable extends from a sarcophagus. Looking inside, discover that the monk's TARDIS and that he must originate from the same place as the doctor. The doctor overpowers the monk upon the latter's return to the monastery. The monk reveals his plan to destroy the Viking fleet, which would prevent the Battle of Stamford Bridge and leave the Saxon soldiers completely fresh to defeat William of Normandy at the Battle of Hastings. He boosted his plans would accelerate mankind's development by centuries. The doctor denounces the monk for seeking to alter the course of history and forces him to reveal his TARDIS, where they find Stephen and Vicki. The time travelers piece together the monk's plot, which he insists he intended to stabilize England and benefit Western civilization. Ulf and Sven form an alliance with the monk and tie up the doctor's party, while the three of them take the neutron bomb shells to the cannon on the beach. The scheme is foiled, however, when Walnut and the Saxons arrive and engage the fleeing Vikings in a nearby clearing. The monk hides while the fighting rages, little knowing that the doctor and his friends have been freed by Edith and are tampering with his TARDIS. With his scheme in ruins, the monk decides to leave and return to his TARDIS. When the monk looks inside, he realizes the doctor has taken dimensional control and that the interior in his ship has shrunk beyond his use, leaving him stranded in 1066. The doctor, Vicki, and Stephen return to the TARDIS and leave. And that is plot synopsis for The Time Meddler. Now back to the show.
Hello and welcome to the Literary License podcast. This evening we are discussing The Time Meddler from 1965, and we're coming to you live from East Finchley in the leafy suburb of East Finchley and Barnet, in North London.
You'll do. Yeah.
So guess what? It turns out the Doctor isn't unique, and nor is his spaceship. Because here we meet another one of his people for the first time, apart from Susan, and get to explore another TARDIS, which also suggests that the Doctor had a lot less to do with the construction of his own vessel than he might have expected. So it's interesting to see, because this character, the Time Meddler, you know, there's questions. Is he the master? Was he going to be the master? Or is this the idea where the master came from, for example?
Right. So like his first incarnation in the sense of it. But that was interesting when they said about the TARDIS could be, it will appear as a, what was it, a hook'em or something, like in India.
Because the chameleon switch broke, which made his one stuck into a police box for all this time. But the meddling monk seems to have able to control his one, and he's made it like a Colosseum type of thing,
or an old church or
tomb, or whatever it is.
Whatever it is, like that's strange. That makes you think about a lot of things. This thing about the dimensional thing. David Icke was talking about, where the reason why some people see aliens, some people see angels, some people see demons, and it's just your perception. If that perception switch is switched down, then you will sort of start seeing whatever mythology you follow.
Because even more so than The Chase, this story is upfront about being made for people watching in 1965, because the monk refers to the Doctor's TARDIS as nothing like a modern police box, and all his consumer goods are contemporary. Watches, toasters, binoculars. So the 60s hardware is seen as proof that something's gone wrong with the 11th century history. Only the monk's gramophone is old-fashioned, and that was a tape recorder in the script. And on top of this, it's flagrantly being made for television, and there's no effort to make the studio look like location work, and the stock footage is just as brazen as it is in the Romans. The monk makes jokes with the Doctor about Shakespeare writing for TV in a scene that might almost have had one or both of them winking at the camera, especially Peter Butterworth. He's fresh from Carry On
So it's a
films,
bit
and that's how
tongue-in-cheek.
that's how you'd probably envision him as
Yeah.
being.
So it's kind of sort of still playing that part in a sense, like the
And
cheeky.
I think this is my Uncle Mick's favorite Doctor Who because he always mentions the meddling monk.
Right.
But
it's funny. I'm trying to remember if I may have seen this the first time round. So what was that? 65? Did you say 64?
1965.
Okay, 65. Yeah. I would have been 10. So I would have been watching it.
Because the Doctor, he mentions that he misses Ian and Barbara, and even by the end of the events, he's welcoming Stephen as a sort of crew member almost.
Yeah,
with
that's
Vicki.
Right. He's almost preparing him for that role.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I can't. I remember him being in it, but I can't remember how many episodes he was in. It's the ones that stick out in your mind more. Barbara and Ian. That's been the first ones.
The monk knows him by reputation, apparently. Some commentators have actually claimed that the both runaways, him and the Doctor, knew each other from the academy in Gallifrey, and this is just about feasible given what we hear. But it's no means implied by the dialogue.
No.
The monk apparently recognizes the Doctor. The Doctor may or may not recognize the monk.
Right.
But although the monk uses the title Doctor without being told it, then there may be some off-screen conversations that they have.
Kind of,
because that's his TARDIS, this tomb that he's got inside the cave.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And he's got a recording of all the monks on
doing evensong,
yeah,
to sort of make it sound like not to scare the villagers. Actually, and it's set in Northumbria. This so it's kind of up north, and I remember the Isle of Lindisfarne. That was always getting raided by Vikings,
Because ethically, in calling the monk a time meddler, the Doctor makes it sound as if this is a kind of nuisance he's faced before.
Right.
But more likely, it's just common among his people for those that mess about with time machines. And he's adamant that the golden rule of not interfering with history should be upheld, though this is presented as a code of conduct and not a law of nature, as in earlier stories. But I like that it's just mysterious. It's good.
Yeah, and
we don't, I didn't realize the monk does return, I think, in the Daleks' master plan. Okay. That's a missing adventure, but there are some sequences that have existed. Also, if for the 60th anniversary on Saturday, the BBC have put all of 800 episodes of Doctor Who available on BBC iPlayer, and they're also available streaming on ITVX if you pay for the subscription.
Right.
Now, the Daleks Master Plan is on BBC iPlayer, and I think the monk. I've never seen it, you see, so I can't really comment. But I'm sure the monk is involved in that story. And I think that's going to be. I'm really excited to watch that because I've never seen those missing episodes before.
No,
or the remaining episodes that the BBC didn't destroy in a fire in the 60s.
Do you think they really did destroy them or just lost them?
They just chucked them in the bin or set them on fire or whatever they did. Just incinerated them.
It's like thrown away.
And then collectors were coming and collecting them, and now some people have got them, but they don't want to do deals with the BBC for whatever reason, or they're offering them ransoms.
Yeah.
Just to get them. And also for those keen viewers, the Doctor Who and the Daleks has been recolored, and it's available on BBC 4 at 7:30 on this Thursday coming.
Yes, yeah.
So that will be, and then that will be followed by an adventure in time and space, and then at 8:30 there's a Channel 5 documentary on the secrets and scandals of Doctor Who on Channel 5. So that'll be interesting.
I'll be interested to see the behind the scenes.
But let's talk about Vicki. What do you think about Vicki, David?
Yeah, I think she's got a good presence about her. She's not sort of like a shy sort of like plain Jane type. She's got an opinion. She seems to sort of like banter with the Doctor. Yeah, she's not like. See, Susan was like. I mean, you could see she was only a kid, but like, what's Vicky supposed to be in this? About 18, 20 or something like that.
Yeah,
is that like her age? So but I think them two together, they've got a good chemistry, I like it,
Because I know she misses Ian and Barbara.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to want to be anywhere but the TARDIS. But she relishes, well, she's not very good with heights, and she gets tired quickly.
Yeah.
But Stephen, he's definitely calmed down a lot now.
Mm-hmm.
He's quite sarcastic and skeptical, which is really cool. It's quite refreshing.
A little bit more sort of like chilled out as time goes.
Yeah. They don't have, he just say what you see with him.
Exactly. I always found with like William Hartnell, he was really confrontational. That's what I liked about him, As the first Doctor, I suppose he had to be. And the role was just evolving. Well, it was actually starting then, and what it became eventually, with the other Doctors, they were always like kind of there was always like a tongue-in-cheek thing anyway, like, jelly beans with Tom Baker and, things like this. But it's kind of sort of like, it's a bit like black comedy sometimes. And
you made me laugh because, it's 1066 and they've landed in Northumbria.
Yeah. Yeah, they're up in Newcastle almost. So the Doctor might read a few Geordies when he's over there. But I think Peter Butterworth is great. There's a good bit of sort of dialogue going between them, like, We've just been watching a few of the episodes there, refresh on memories, like, And I like William Hartnell. It's a shame he didn't continue longer. How many actually series did William Hartnell do? About 30 less, 25.
I'd have to.
Yeah.
Send us a comment if you know the answer to that, because I can't remember off the top of my head. Didn't he do 4 seasons?
So what would that be? That would be 4. It was normally about 6 in every season, wasn't it? No,
something like that.
So really not that many, And yet he's the one that really sticks in my mind,
His last one was the 10th planet.
Oh. But it's William Hartnell as the Doctor did a sort of kind of encounter some of the classics, the Daleks, right? Was it Zarbi?
They were in the Web Planet.
Yeah, okay. And
the insects.
Did he ever encounter the Cybermen?
Who?
William Hartnell.
Yeah, in the 10th planet.
There you go.
The very first appearance of them.
He covered like some of the most iconic.
He did, yeah.
Baddies in a sense, like, the Doctor was ever to meet, Yeah. So, classic. And also, he played the part like a Shakespearean role, He almost like came across like some character from like Othello or Hamlet or something like this, It was quite cool.
So episode 1 had a rating of 8.9 million.
Wow.
Episode 2, 8.8.
Yeah.
Episode 3, 7.7, and then episode 4, 8.3 million again.
So
episode titles was The Watcher, The Meddling Monk, A Battle of Wits, and Checkmate.
Right.
But the working titles was The Paradox for episode 1, Doctor Who and the Monk, and Doctor Who and the Vikings.
Right.
So
yeah, it seems like I think a lot of people would like to watch the first one and then watch the conclusion, like, But the thing is, like, I think you should watch them all, You're not going to get the story, And actually, the Vikings portrayal was quite cool, I thought they're quite cool. All right, they don't. I wish they would change their. Why does everybody have to speak in like English? I know we won't understand, but the thing is, like, they could change the accents a little bit and make them a bit more like a Scandinavian sort of speaking English, in a sense, like, So it'd be like, maybe they wouldn't roll the R's so much. It'll be a bit like ABBA speaking it. If you change your mind, I'm the first day, like, So yeah. So, but Vicki. Yeah, I think she's good, Aye.
And if we go for ratings, then what would you give this out of 5?
Well, after watching it, I always found it was really, all these episodes were really like historical, and you would learn something from it. And it's like, I think there was a point made last time we were on the cast, was saying, like, kids actually started to really enjoy history by watching Doctor Who because it was made a bit more entertaining. I think I've enjoyed watching this. I would say maybe an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, yeah. Yeah, I'd give this a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by this character. I want to see more of him.
So you think he might be the first master? It could be the master,
I'm
the
not-
master.
I don't know, unless he is just unless he just is a meddling monk from Gallifrey who's just out to
Right.
meddle all the time.
With time, like, you know,
But I definitely think they should bring him back.
like a rogue time lord.
Mm.
Maybe they will, you know, in some other format. You watch. Yeah, so you reckon 9 out of 10, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the actual, all right, come on. Some of the backdrops are a bit, but most of it's really good, you know?
So that brings us to the end of the Time Meddler, and now we're going to move on to Galaxy 4, which was serial T, 4 episodes, 11th of September to the 2nd of October, 1965. We'll cut to the trailer and we'll be right back.
This is the plot synopsis for Galaxy 4, which aired from the 11th September to the 2nd of October 1965. The First Doctor and his companions, Vicki and Stephen Taylor, arrive on a silent planet and encounter short, blind, non-humanoid robots dubbed Chumblies by Vicki. Before the trio decide whether the Chumblies are hostile, one of the robots is disabled by an all-female party of clone blonde Drahvins, warriors from the planet Drahvin, in the same galaxy as the silent planet Galaxy 4. The Drahvins are dominated by their cruel leader, Maaga, who treats her simple-minded subordinates with bullying contempt. The Drahvins are at war with the reptilians Rills, the masters of the Chumblies, and both races have crashed spaceships on this planet. According to the Drahvins, the planet will be destroyed in 14 planetary cycles and with their ship irreplaceable. Maaga and her warriors seek to capture the Rills ship, which they believe has been made functional again. Maaga describes the Drahvins as the victims of the conflict with the Rills, but the Doctor has witnessed some of the Drahvins' aggression and is not convinced. Using the TARDIS, he calculates the planet will break up in just 2 days' time. The Doctor tries to keep this new findings from the Drahvins, but Maaga forces the truth from him at the point of a gun. When Stephen held his hostage to ensure their cooperation, the Doctor and Vicki are sent by the Drahvins to try to seize control of the Rill ship. The Doctor works out that the ammonia-breathing Rills are a very advanced species. When he meets one, he is impressed, particularly by their use of telepathy. The huge and impressive horned warthog-like Rill explains that they are offered to take the Drahvins away with them, but Maaga has refused, preferring to maintain a state of war. The Doctors tell the Rills of the true life remaining in the planet and promise to help them escape, since the solar energy conferred on the Rill craft have not gathered enough power to left off. The Doctor and Vicki return to the Drahvin ship to find Stephen unconscious after Maaga has tried to kill him by leaving him in a depressurized airlock. They all return to the Rill vessel, where the Doctor successfully develops a power converter linked to the TARDIS, which charges the Rill craft. Maaga leaves the Drahvin in a final assault, but the Chumblies defend the ship long enough for it to power up and leave the planet. A Chumbly helps the Doctor, Vicki, and Stephen to return to the TARDIS. After they leave, the planet explodes, killing the Drahvins. In the TARDIS, Vicki identifies a planet on the scanner. On the planet, an astronaut wakes up in an alien jungle, repeating the phrase, "I must kill." And that is the plot synopsis for Galaxy 4. Now back to the show.
Hello and welcome to the Lottery License podcast. Tonight we are discussing Galaxy 4 from 1965. And David, what are your opening thoughts?
Right. Okay. I know we had a bit of a joke before saying it was Henry the Hoover's running around, you know. But actually, they look more like sort of like IKEA Daleks.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Flat pack Daleks.
Yeah. That's exactly my thought. I thought, is this where Star Wars got the idea for R2-D2 from the Chumblies?
Hey, you're right there, you know.
You
Because
know.
they did look quite so these two
Right, so this one, this episode in particular. Sorry, I've got the TV on and I can just see these Chumblies running around. This one is with Drahvins, which are steely blonde warrior women with ray guns and a tendency to say things like, "It is conceivable that you two will be obliterated." Chumblies, which are wobbly service robots who blow off in perfect radiophonic pitch. There's Rills, which are like deformed creature things that live in glass cages,
right?
That no one can remember seeing. And then, stick them all together on a planet and see what happens. But I love I've seen the animation.
Yeah.
And I've seen the original surviving footage.
Yeah.
I've got to admit, I enjoyed watching the surviving footage more than the animation. I'm not sure why, but it's available on BBC iPlayer. But the animation was okay. I like the landscape and the planet detail is really, really good.
Yeah, you're right. It's got a good color.
I just wish the animations were more.
A bit more.
I wish they spent more time on the animations of the actual characters.
Yeah, because they could have made them a little bit more.
It's just a bit flat in places for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really hated the Drahvin's character, the leader. I couldn't wait for her to perish, and it was really satisfying to see her die at the end, or off-screen death. It was really good. I was like, thank God she got a comeuppance, for what she did to Stephen, by taking the oxygen out of the room. Things like that. Like, there's just blatant cruelty. And that's it's good. It's just about cowboys and Indians and
exactly
good versus evil and
atonement.
It's a difficult Doctor Who because you've got these chumblies and they go around like little R2D2s just making squeaky noises. How do you create a dialogue around that? They did a really good job with that because that would have been very difficult to even just to run its course.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Star Wars took a lot from that. Like definitely sort of R2D2.
So this was the first story to be directed by one of the black and white era stylists, which was Derek Martinus.
Right.
So plot-wise, it's the first story to use what will become a familiar part of the 60s program. An airlock with the pressure being removed, unless the occupant, in this case, which was Stephen, gives in to the bad guy's demands. And then there's a full-scale planetary destruction as well at the end, which makes me think of Survival, the end of Survival a little bit, where the planet was disintegrating and the master was turned into a cat in 1989. So but also all power to the all-girl team on this.
Yeah, that's true.
Which would have been very controversial in the 60s, especially.
Absolutely.
To make them authoritative and powerful. And it's a different spin on things.
Yeah, and the thing is, because back at that time, it was like Barbarella. It was all like Jane Fonda sexing it up a little bit, basically just like exploiting the female sort of character as a. Do you remember that movie Barbarella? It's like but these women are like, they're quite strong and they're quite they're a bit like the girls in like the modern Star Trek stuff. They actually can stand their own ground. Like, it's perfect. Why should you sort of like be pushed down like that?
So basically, at the time of literally 108 of the original 695 episodes of Doctor Who, aren't known to exist anywhere. 108 are missing. 108 are lost. 108 have been wiped from the face of our human culture. That's more than 15% of the canon.
But somebody might have made a copy, like a hard copy, and kept it. I'm sure one of the guys who was doing the editing, he might have made a hard copy to keep in case it was lost. When you're in the recording studio, normally sort of they make a safety copy. This is back in your analog days. Now it's obviously different with digital, but just in case, because the story where Jimi Hendrix recorded the Are You Experience, he took it out to a party, the canister with the recording, left it in the back of the taxi. So someone has that.
Yeah.
You know,
It's interesting because in today's society, you wouldn't think of deleting or removing a televised program or film. You'd have copies and copies of it on different formats.
Exactly. And you could put it into the cloud.
Yeah.
Or you could store it on something.
So it's like unthinkable nowadays in today's day.
So nothing can be
age.
lost. Yeah, exactly.
So
I mean,
there's 3 suns in this serial.
Yeah.
Which I didn't understand. I thought the planet would have been hotter, but for some reason they didn't seem to make any reference to taking their clothes off or dying from sweltering heat, which was interesting.
Maybe they were so far away. They were just given like light and not really that much heat. Together, a combination that give it some kind of.
I thought the sets were amazing in this. Very large sets.
Actually, you know, it kind of looks like a. I like the pyramid. You know, the way the sort of pyramids pushed all the way through, like
What? Yeah, the Drahvin commander was called Maaga, and she lets the doctor know that the test tube bred subordinates are engaged in a small kind of war, and tries to convince them that the Chumblies are the enemy.
Right.
But
it's like people playing off each other all the time, like
because Vicki was the first to speak to the Rills, and their version of events was quite different. It was the Drahvins who began hostilities, yet the Rills are the ones who have offered to help the persecutors get off the planet before its destruction.
Right.
That's one of them there.
That's one of them there.
So
they kind of look like a precursor of the Daleks, where actually when they were inside the outlay, the actual the outer suit, the Dalek itself, like as it's done. Yeah. Weird, I'm just wondering why it's in a triangle.
It's the Toblerone factory.
It looks a bit like it. Yeah. Or ancient Egypt, Yeah, it's strange, Yeah, I must admit the cartoon. I mean, look at the graphics on there.
The interesting thing is they call their home
planet
Galaxy 4 instead of Galaxy 1. So that suggests that
fourth dimension.
The Drahvia is itself a colony.
Right.
Maaga's reference to the Earth people could suggest that she's run into humans before, and that's why she's so hostile.
Right. So she's encountered us before.
Because it's implied that, because there's a suggestion that they have spaceships like capable of moving between galaxies, but at the same time, some space hopping seems to be quite new to them.
Interesting, Maybe it's that thin. Sometimes the actual dimensional sort of like corridor is very thin, Yeah, interesting, Yeah, but they do look a bit like Henry's now. In fact, I'm just going to plug one in. Right, let's do the carpet.
This was written by William Ems and directed by Derek Martinus. His ratings were for episode 1, 9 million.
That's
episode 2, 9.5 million. Episode 3, 11.3 million. And then episode 4, 9.9 million. It's just a shame that none of the episodes exist, but 6 minutes remain from episode 1.
Yeah.
But they are available on the Missing Year in the Lost in Time DVD box set as well. So Robert Cartland did the real voices.
Yeah.
Stephanie Bidmead was Maaga. Marina Martin was Drahvin 1. Susanna Carroll was Drahvin 2, and Lynn Ashley was Drahvin 3.
Who did the voice for William Hartnell? Was it William Hartnell? Oh,
yeah,
it was. Okay, right. Because
So the working title was Doctor Who and the Chumblies.
Yeah.
So, and the actual episode titles was 400 Dawns, Trap of Steel, Airlock, and the Exploding Planet.
As the 4, like Yeah.
Yeah.
But what would you give it as?
This story was actually scheduled for Mervyn Pinfield to direct, but because of ill health, the newcomer Derek Martinus was given both and the Mission to the Unknown.
Right. So would you give it as a rating? You know, I mean,
I quite
think the
enjoyed
animation
it.
is
Really,
great,
yeah,
yeah.
it was good. I think I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Ah, I think I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because I like the animation. It's great, you know.
Yeah.
All right, okay, it might be a little bit 2D, but it's colourful. You can see what's going on, and it's not like all right, it's not like Magna or something like that, you know. But it's great, you know.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of the Literary License podcast for Doctor Who, Galaxy 4. Like I said, if you want to join our Facebook page, please check out the Whovians podcast Facebook page.
Yep.
It's free to join. And check out craigsworld.org if you want to see any merchandise or limited edition artwork from David Grant. Check it out.
Acid Monk is
Acid Monk on YouTube. Yeah.
Yep. And we will be doing some exhibitions this year and next year at the Muswell Hill Health Club
in Fortis
Green, and probably Lauderdale House again. I'm sure.
Lauderdale House, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to try we're trying to find other venues to sort of like display some of the artwork and that, you know.
Yeah. Just watch the space, guys.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's good night from me, Craig Johnson.
Yeah, and good night. Thanks for listening to me. And good night. David.
Horror, shock, horror.